Hi, welcome to Avi's Kosher Kitchen. I am your host and biggest fan, Avi. I'm going to say l'chaim first with a very special drink. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'varo. Oh, this, my friends, is limoncello. This is the drink from Italy that when you're in love with somebody, the two of you take this drink, you sip it slowly on a moonlit night, watching the gondolas and the canals of Venezia. Beautiful drink. Anyway, I waxed romantic because that was the first trip my wife and I took together as husband and wife. And, you know, it is an indelible memory and a great one. And I want to thank the folks over at Palini for sending us this great limoncello, which is one of the few, if not only, kosher limoncellos available today. Really great, from Italy, handcrafted. You'll see more of it because we're going to cook with it. Anyway, we are cooking limoncello chicken. Go figure. I've got my pan going. It's pretty hot right now. I'm going to put a little bit of coconut oil in here. The pan is smoking. The oil goes in. The oil is going to get nice and hot. I've got my chicken right here. This is Whole Foods wonderful chicken. This is a chicken breast that has been sliced and skewered. I skewered it myself. These are those long kind of barbecue shish kebab skewers. Just cut the ends off and you make short skewers. And what we're going to do is we're going to be doing some great stuff with this. So I'm going to first season it up. Okay, a little bit of salt, a little bit of granulated garlic, and a little bit of turmeric, whatever you want to call it. It's a great spice, very healthy for you, and we're just going to get all this rolling in there. Don't stick your hands into the spices once they've been touching chicken, by the way, because that's not a good thing. You don't want to contaminate your spices. We can always add a little bit more of this, by the way, once it's in the pan. Okay, pan is smoking hot. The oil is almost to the point of wanting to burn. We don't want that to happen. Chicken goes in. Listen to that sizzle, right? That's what we're after. Now this, my friends, is going to cook up fairly fast. I'm going to let that sizzle in there for just a moment. We're going to just kind of work this around a little bit. You see it's already getting nice color. That turmeric really helps out a lot. Okay? And all of this oil that's in there is going to actually help us with our sauce, okay? You want this to come in here really nice and get a little brown. You got to just give it a little bit of time. So let's give it about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we're going to go to our next step in the process. All right, it's been about 2 minutes. And you can see we're getting some nice color. I'm going to actually just put just a little bit more turmeric right in here. Turmeric, whatever. Any rate, next step, lemon juice. Just a little lemon juice right over this. Now this is going to steam up a little bit. That's good. That's what we want. We're going to lower our heat, because now we want it to just sort of luxuriate in the bath of lemon juice. But that lemon juice is not going to be alone. We're going to put in our friend the Palini limoncello. Now, limoncello is really nice because it's a liqueur that's sweet. So the sugars in here are going to help caramelize in here a little bit. And you can see how now the sizzling's kind of gone down a little bit. We don't want to overdo this in too high of a heat, by the way, because we don't want it to get tough. You can see that bubbling. And you smell the lemon in here that is just making me lemon drunk. It's lemonlicious. Now to this, I'm going to add a little bit of honey. Now this is a lemon honey crème from our friends over at Honey Ridge Farms out of Oregon. They are a boutique honey farm that has some fantastic honey infusions, blood orange and a spice and lavender and coconut, all sorts of great stuff. And so we're going to just take this honey now and just drizzle it in here. So this honey is going to glaze up And you can see this sauce is going to start to thicken just a little bit. If you really wanted to give it a thick sauce, what you would do is add maybe a little bit of cornstarch or a little bit of arrowroot, something like that. While this is working, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend Ruth. Who's Ruth? Ruth is in my pan. Ruth is the chicken we're going to eat. I named her Ruth. What the heck? Everybody needs a name. Chickens need names. She gets a name. Ruth the chicken. Ruth the chicken grew up on the farms with Cold Foods. This is, of course, our friends over at Cold Foods who provided the chicken. And I got to tell you, this is a chicken that lived a life pretty much in a spa. You know, this is a chicken that wouldn't cross the other side of the road because I wanted to stay right where it was, luxuriating out in the pastures and free range roaming around and playing all the chicken games that they play. And you've heard me talk about that before, I'm sure. Remember, there's no antibiotics, there's no growth hormones in these chickens, and they are just probably, in my opinion, the healthiest chickens that you could eat, and the most sustainable, because that's what it's all about, is sustainable farming for the earth, for the land, and of course for Ruth and her friends, all her chicken friends running around there. That's the thing. Okay, I've turned the heat up because now the chicken's pretty much done, and I want to just give it a quick glaze and burn off a little bit, just a little bit of the sugars, bring them down. Okay, what we're going to do is take our plate, put that aside, take all this aside, heat off. So I don't want to. The last thing I want to do is burn that sauce. Just take our skewers, go right on here. Look at this. Now these are nice, beautiful individual skewers that you can just eat. We're going to take a little bit of the drippings right on. Don't want to crowd the plate. I'll leave those two skewers for another plate. Okay. Now this turmeric is a nice, beautiful color to the chicken. The limoncello does. And just for a quick garnish on that, we'll take our board, take a lemon, take a nice slice right out of the middle, cut it, twist it right there on top. If you want to sprinkle some green stuff on top, a little bit of cilantro or basil or something like that. You know what? I have a basil. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I told you I'd be right back. Okay, got a little basil here, just a couple of leaves, and the aromatics from that are absolutely phenomenal. And this is really something we want to do here. Let's cut this up. We do a little chiffonade on it. And we're going to just put a little bit of the basil right on top. And this is really going to make it, because you want to have that basil in there. Now, of course, all green leafy vegetables in the kosher kitchen are washed and checked for bugs, because we don't need any bugs. By the way, if you want, take the basil and add it maybe a minute before the chicken's ready to come out of the pan. That way you get a little bit more of that basil infusion of flavor right into the sauce. But you're not going to wilt the basil. If you put the basil in a little bit too early, it kind of wilts, and it's, you know, you're not really getting everything. Or you could do what I did and just garnish it right on top of this, and you'll eat the chicken with the basil. Either way, it's going to taste great. It's going to be great. You and your guests are going to love it. You and your family are going to love it. And speaking of loving it, we're going to say l'chaim, because I love this limoncello from Pellini. Thank our friends over at Cold Foods for this great meat. And of course, our friends over at Honey Ridge Farms for their wonderful honey. And speaking of honeys, I want to thank my wonderful honey who took me to Italy. So till next time, l'chaim, l'chaim v'bracha, and